Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today I decided to do a makeup tutorial. Not because anybody asked, but because sometimes I do my makeup and it turns out good, but I just don't remember what I did, so I can't recreate it. So if this one turns good, I can come back and see it. Instead of actually just basing this off of the makeup, I want to talk about celebrity crushes. I'm going to be starting with this primer. It's by Catrice. I don't even know if that's French, but I just felt like saying it in French. And I don't think I have a type. I think I just like any man. After collecting all the pictures to put in this video, I have realized that there is definitely a pattern. They're all white, conventionally attractive, and most of them are really pretty, like pretty men. Most of them are like gay. I don't know, they're all conventionally attractive and white, so it's not that crazy, right? You know, I've had a lot of tiny celebrity crushes that didn't really mean anything, but then I had ones that I would literally sell my soul to the devil to marry them. So I'm gonna be talking about those, and I'll be putting pictures, my favorite pictures of them, so you understand what I saw in them, or favorite edits if it's from the TikTok era. So after primer, we use this concealer by NYX, bear with me. I think we can count my first ever celebrity crush as Mr. Harry Styles. I was a big directioner, I was really borderline insane. I would watch the One Direction movie like every night. I had it on my computer, on the desktop. I had that movie and the iCarly episode they're in on the desktop on my computer, so it was like easy accessible. But not any Harry Styles. The 2013 frat boy era Harry Styles. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Like, they don't make 19-year-olds like that anymore. I would know because I'm 20. I remember being like, I was 13 at this time. I saw a picture of Harry Styles holding a Starbucks cup. I tried to find that picture, but I can't anymore. And it wasn't even in his frat boy era. It was like up all night era. And I remember turning to my mom and and started crying, like actually sobbing. I was like, Mom, I am never, ever gonna find someone like Harry Styles. Like, I've looked everywhere. There's no one like Harry Styles. And it's so funny because if you think you're never gonna get over something, you will. Because no, I really couldn't care less about Harry Styles, I'm sorry. But if frat boy era Harry Styles came knocking at my door, I'd be like, hello, come in. Do you wanna marry me? I was obsessed with Harry Styles. I think that's a pretty universal experience. If it wasn't Harry, it was Niall. If it wasn't Niall, it was Zayn. If it wasn't Zayn, it was Liam. If it wasn't Liam, it was Louis. Did you love that? Anyway, I still do blend everything with my fingers because I don't have a good explanation for that. Right after One Direction, actually not even after, I think it was during One Direction, I had a Glee phase. I really didn't want to say this online. Glee is amazing. Glee is amazing. People just have to stop pretending that it's not. I read fanfiction about every single male character on Glee. I read fanfiction about Sebastian. I don't know if you remember, but he was gay. As gay as they come. My biggest crush on Glee was Sam. Which is, what's so weird. I don't have a fucking type. He was blonde and jacked. This was like when I was 13. Okay, this is the 13 Reasons Why era. There are a lot of hot characters in 13 Reasons Why, but obviously I picked the most mentally ill one and the gayest one at that. I had the biggest obsession with Alex from 13 Reasons Why, but like so big. I literally could not function for a month after watching it, and I became insane. I was so insane that my mom offered me a book. That's usually what my mom does when I'm insane. She offers me a book. And it was a book about a coming-of-age gay story. It's Love, Simon, but back then it wasn't. And then there wasn't a movie and whatever. And so I was like, cool. And I read it and I was like, cool. And then news came out that Alex from 13 Reasons Why was gonna be in that movie. And I was like, what? And then I found out the cast of the movie. And I became obsessed with Nick Robinson. So Nick Robinson and Miles Eisner were my hyperfixation for quite a long time. I completely forgot to mention that Love, Simon summons all of my crushes. Actually, this is a really funny story. When I liked a celebrity, I did everything in my power to get to them. I'm not gonna go into details about some celebrities, but I can tell this one. I read Love, Simon, as you know, and I loved it. It was really cool. And I decided to present it at a school presentation. And it wasn't called Love, Simon back then. I tweeted that I was going to present it in class. And the writer of the book wished me good luck on Twitter. This means that I am one person away from Drew Starkey, Miles Eisner, and Nick Robinson. I was in 9th grade, by the way. I was in 8th grade. I was 13. Anyway, I think it was important to mention that. There was a time when I was 14 too, when I really liked Finn Wolfhard because of Stranger Things. I don't really remember the timeline. When you have a crush on a celebrity, you start watching every single piece of media they were in. And so The Clown, the movie of The Clown, was very popular at that time, and it became my favorite movie because I started having a crush on every single person in that movie. They were all my age, which, very out of character for me, getting a crush that is my age. But I had a crush on every single one of them. I read it fan fiction. But Nick Robinson still holds up. I don't know what happened to him, but he was really hot. Miles Eisner, he's gay now. So I think he's always been gay, but I didn't really give a fuck. What happened after that? I feel like Oh, we got my boy Timothy Chalamet entered my life. Timothy was the one that I think lasted the longest. And I think Timothy was definitely not solely based on looks. I did like his look, and I thought he was the most beautiful man alive. But Timothy opened a lot of doors for me because I started getting a lot more into cinema and movies, which is what I want to do now. And he introduced me to so many good directors like Greta Gerwig. He introduced me to great actors like Saoirse Ronan and Florence Pugh. Because I only went to watch those movies because of him, and now I stayed because of how great they were. It was a celebrity crush, but it was like I admired him more than I fancied him, if you know what I mean. I'm using the Rare Beauty blush, by the way, in the color Hope. Now I go in with this setting spray by Revolution. I like to put it right after I do my base. Also, I saw a Martin Scorsese movie, a documentary about Bob Dylan, and I didn't know much about Bob Dylan's personality or like the way he behaved on stage because I solely listened to his music. Never saw an interview, never anything. And so that movie really gave me the essence of Bob Dylan. And I'm like, he's not like a regular rock star. He is surrounded by insane people, but he keeps to himself. If Timothée Chalamet is able to pull that off, I will hand him the Oscar myself. Obviously, I'm not saying that playing Freddie Mercury is easy or Elvis, but they have this characteristic things about them, and they're like very flamboyant and stuff. And Bob Dylan wasn't like that. When he sang, like you could see it in his eyes, but like this very distinctive look. He didn't move a lot. He was very static. So I want to see what Timothée Chalamet does. If he ruins that, I'll be on your walls, Timothy. But I think you can. I think if you try really hard, you can. And he's been preparing for this role for years. So I really hope that he handles it well. If he does, I'll hand him the Oscar myself, I swear. After Timothy, I'm not gonna get into Harry Potter because that's embarrassing. I had a big Harry Potter phase. I had the biggest, fattest crush on Mr. Oliver Wood. He is not relevant at all, but him in the first movie, but he is so cute, and he's Scottish. Then I became obsessed with the Weasley twins, the ginger twins, Ron Weasley's siblings, which I can't explain, but it made sense at the time. And then I became obsessed with the Marauders, which are the Harry Potter's parents, friends. If you know, you know. So I became really obsessed with Ben Barnes and Andrew Garfield. Obviously, Andrew Garfield was nominated for an Oscar at that time, so I was like really obsessed. Then, for some stupid reason, I became obsessed with Stranger Things. Like, not a new season didn't come out. I just became obsessed because I don't really remember. My Stranger Things face again, but this time it wasn't for Finn Wolfhard. It was for Joe Keery, and it was really insane. I also found out that one of my favorite musical artists, Joe, was Joe Keery. And I didn't know. Joe Keery for quite a long time. This is pretty recent. It was like last year. The beginning of last year was Joe Keery. And then I found this band on TikTok. It was called Inhaler. And there was this member of the band who was talking. And I 100% thought it was the lead singer of Blur. So I thought it was just Blur. And then Inhaler started popping up on my For You page more. And I knew that Inhaler and Blur were two different bands. And I knew that one of them was recent, and one of them was from like the 90s. I just didn't know which one. And now looking back, the guy doesn't even look like the lead singer of Blur. Inhaler, they're young people now, and Blur are old now. And I realized that I already had Inhaler in a lot of my playlists. And I was like, I didn't know what they looked like. And then I found out that he was Bono's son. And I was like, what the fuck? I really still love Inhaler, and I became obsessed with Elijah Houston. I still love him. Actually, I went to see them in concert, and they're not relatively big, so it was a really small concert. I went to Madrid They put on such a good show. I mean, Elijah Houston, they're all amazing. They're such rock stars, but Elijah Houston is going to be like the next rock star. I just know it. He is wonderful. Also, so stupidly beautiful. Like, after Eli, do you want to know what happened? Probably don't. You know the story. I started watching Outer Banks and I didn't like it. I saw 15 minutes. Summer last year, I realized that they were all really hot. And so I started reading fan fiction without ever watching the TV show. And I liked you. Obviously, I did find JJ really hot. But the fan fiction that I was reading was not JJ fan fiction. I was reading full-on Rafe Cameron fan fiction. You know when you have like a standard crush? Like I had like Timothy Chalamet, but I would have crushes on other people. But Timothy Chalamet was the standard. Now it's that progressed onto Drew Starkey. And so I have Drew Starkey. And I kind of like Jacob Elordi and Colin Turner. They're cute. Does it stop at Drew Starkey? I think it does. I think that's it. I used an air gel on my eyebrows with this spoolie. Okay, now I'm gonna bronze. Whatever. I don't know what brand this is. Honorable mention. Mr. Ben Hardy in Bohemian Rhapsody. Specifically, not that he's not good looking out of Bohemian Rhapsody, but him in Bohemian Rhapsody playing Roger Taylor is what I'm talking about. I think that covers all of them. Okay, I've been on the Callum Turner train long before he started dating Dua Lipa. Okay, when I watched Fantastic Beasts, I loved that man, but then I searched him up and he was too old for me, so I was like, okay, maybe not. But he's an Aquarius and he's really tall. And so I think would be a great match, even though I'm like 20 and he's 33. I had a phase of Dylan O'Brien and I read Teen Wolf fan fiction. Again, I never watched Teen Wolf. There is a pattern of me reading fan fiction of TV shows I've never watched, so I literally don't know who the other characters are. I just imagine different people. I forgot about a very important one. Listen, I had a Dead Poet Society phase. I am still in my Dead Poet Society phase, but there was a time when I was like absolutely crazy. Because it did change my life. That movie changed my life. And I was so in love with Neil Perry. Again, another gay guy. The book that I read that made me cry the most in my life ever was a Neil Perry fan fiction. But it's such a beautiful book. It's on Wattpad. It doesn't have that many reads. For my 17-year-old self, that was my Roman Empire. I cried so hard. I was sobbing. I couldn't stop. I used a setting powder. This is the setting powder that I used. And I just put it on my T-zone. I'm going to let it bake for a little. So I have a mascara primer that I have used in a video in like 2019. So just so you know, this stuff is from 2019. Okay, I'm going to start with this by Revolution. It's Power Lash Volume, but I'm going to use different ones because these ones are volume, these ones are lengthening, and I want both. So the best of both worlds. I also been saying on my TikTok that I have a big crush on Jacob Elordi, which, like, it's not a lot. Like, I think he's cute. I think he has a great sense of style, but he's huge. Look at him. Like, I'm 5'3", okay? So he would be, like, a monster next to me. Okay, I just used 30,000 mascaras on my eyes. And still, it didn't really do anything. I love this blush, and it's from Primark, but they discontinued it. So I just walk around with this. It doesn't have a lid. It's broken. It is a nightmare to walk around with this, but it's so great. And I love it so much. Like, look at that. It's so pretty. It's such a pretty color. And it gives you such, like, a healthy look, you know? Like, I usually do the lipstick, like, right before I leave my house. I don't even know what time it is. I need to get the fuck out of here. Also, it's important to not mistake celebrity crush with a celebrity we admire. Like, for example, Dominic Sessa. He is wonderful. Such an amazing acting debut. When I found out he wasn't like an actor before, I was like, there's absolutely no way, you're lying. All the performances in that movie are amazing, but his struck me the most because he's 21. He's my age, and he had no prior acting experience. I'm using the Sephora Care Better Rouge. Whatever. It's in the shade 03 Radiant Daisy. And it's actually really cool. And then I used like this lip oil that used to be transparent, but I bought it in Paris at a very cheap store. So yeah, guys, that was it. That's my makeup. Now I'm gonna go get dressed because I need to head out. Now you know all of my celebrity crushes that I've had ever. I think I mentioned all of them. Bye.
Said she love me, which one? Love, yeah, she call me long, see I land. Pouring up a red cup, I'm anti.